Hey gang, Carl White here, broadcasting from the old communication room here at the secret headquarters of the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And you are listening to Loan Officer Freedom, number one podcast in the world today for loan officers. And I'm here with a dear friend of mine, a Sherpa for us all, Mr. Chris Johnstone. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, Carl. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So, what CRM should I use? So I'm going to come out of the gate. Um, I think they're all good.
Yep,
I mean,
100%.
I've used most of them with our coaching clients. I've been exposed, I think all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of the owners of these CRMs are personal friends of mine,
Yep.
right? And so I think they're all good. I really do. I'm not just saying that. I think they're all good. I think some are easier than others.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never forgot something that somebody said, Carl. There's no such thing as a simple solution for a complex problem. There's only complex solutions for complex problems.
Hmm.
So a CRM, by definition, needs to be somewhat complex and multifaceted. And so we're going to talk specifically about what CRM I should use, but there's a little bit of I think most people know this, but it might be breaking news to others that Chris, we're a little biased on this topic. You want to share why we're biased?
Yeah, 100% because we have built a CRM. And not only did we build it, we filled it with all of the campaigns from the mortgage marketing animals. So it's all kind of pre-done sitting there. And then powered it with AI, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. But you're right, Carl. All of the CRMs are great. I think, the best CRM is the CRM that you use.
Yes.
And, it's that extra little bit where we're really trying to move the needle and just make it so that it's that much easier to implement and that much easier to get off the ground and get results from.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing that you won't see is Honda coming out and saying Toyota sucks. Because you know what? Toyota doesn't suck. They're
That's right.
two fantastic cars.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with the CRM. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk briefly about why we started our own. And it was, we saw some we saw some holes. I'll call it. Where we saw people were, hey, I need these three different programs to do. I need this one to do that, but then I need this one to tie into that, and I need to get them talked a little bit. So talk to us about that for a minute.
Yeah, I think the first problem that we really set out to solve was the power dialer. Because if you've got, let's say, your past clients, like the low hanging fruit that we want everybody to go get first, right? Like call your past customers. Well, if you're using a third party power dialer to make those phone calls and somebody picks up the phone and you don't want them to then start getting text messages and emails from your CRM, you've manually got to go from, oh, I just had a conversation with that person, stop what you're doing, open up your CRM, find that contact, unapply the tag or whatever it is to stop the automation inside the CRM. So we're like, okay, first off, the power dialer has got to talk to the campaign so that if you talk to them, the campaign automatically shuts off. And if you don't talk to them, the CRM continues to follow up so that you can continue to make calls to try and convert that person across what we call the octopus method, which is, you want to be calling people, you want to be emailing people, you want to be text messaging people. Well, all of those systems have to be able to be inside one CRM so they can all talk to each other. So if you call somebody and they text back the phone number, the system has to be smart enough to shut off and stop sending those messages to that person. So that was the first thing we did was we integrated a power dialer into it and a text
And
messaging system.
just briefly, what's a power dialer?
Oh, sorry. So a power dialer is where you take a list and you hit the big green button in the top corner and it dials the numbers for you. So you don't actually have to make the phone calls. And then what happens is it dials one person at once. But if that person doesn't pick up and it goes to voicemail, it automatically starts dialing the next phone number. And so we did a couple of tests and we figure it dials about 4 times as many contacts in the same dialing session. So if you're going to sit down and do the daily success plan and you're going to dedicate 2 hours, in that 2 hours of time, you get 4 times more opportunity because the power dialer is making the calls and you don't have to manually punch in the numbers and do that sort of thing.
And I think a side benefit of having a power dialer, and there's some great ones on the market, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think the advantage for me, one of the biggest advantages of the power dialer is when we're making our phone calls. Let's talk about like calling our past database. We all know 100% if we started calling our past database, we'd get new loans, not next week, not next month, but literally today,
Yep.
right? Um, but the problem is I call one number and I catch a voicemail. So I push a button, it dumps a message that I pre-recorded, right? Whereas if they pick up, well, now I'm talking to them, but if it hits their voicemail, it dumps a message, and while it's dumping a message, it's calling the next person. And then if I catch a voicemail there, I push a button, it's dumping them. It's still leaving a message on number one. It's just starting to leave a message on number two, and it's calling number three. Well, let me tell you how it works without a power dialer. I call number one, I catch their voicemail, I go, boy, that was a close one. I was afraid this going to pick up. And gee, I think I'll go get a glass of water. And on the way to the water fountain, I stopped by Chris's office. Hey, Chris, how about those bears yesterday? Yeah, not me. No, I think we're gonna go to the mountains this weekend. So, but let me go ask Jenny and see what she's going to do, right?
Mhm.
And then 2 hours later, I find myself on the Facebook NASCAR fan page, and how did I even end up here? I have no idea.
Yep.
And so the advantage of a power dialer is it helps eliminate that call reluctance because it doesn't interject or allow the human hesitation from calling that next person. It's just calling, right?
Yep.
It's just calling. So power dialer is a great thing, and having it so it integrates in with your CRM, very, 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 very powerful thing. So anyway, so I just didn't mean to get off too much of a tangent on the power dialer, but it's because that's actually not what we want to kind of showcase today.
Hmm.
I think what we want to showcase today. Here, let me give you a scenario that everybody's going to go, "Yep, been there, done that, bought that T-shirt."
All right.
So when we go to our live events that we do,
Yep.
and one of the questions I sometimes ask is, "How many of you are using social media in some format?"
Yep.
Right? Everybody's hand goes up, including mine.
Yep.
It's a great platform, great use, right? And then I'll say, all right, how many of you have, how many of you know without a shout of a doubt that if you called your past database from A to Z, you'd get loans that would close in the next 30 days?
Yep.
95 out of 100 raise their hand. The other five knows what's coming and they're just embarrassed, right? So everybody raised their hand. We all know that if we called our past database, we'd close more loans. So then I ask, how many of you actually done it in the last 6 months? And usually out of a room for every 100 people, 4 maybe
Yep.
will raise their hand, maybe 5 on a good day, 3, 4, somewhere that. So somewhere around 3 or 4% are doing it, yet 100% know why. But yet 100% know that it would be a good thing. What's the problem there? Like, they know they'd get loans if they did this activity, and they're not doing this activity. Instead, they're doing other activity, which is still fine to do, but it doesn't pull anywhere near as well.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do they do it?
So I think it's because people are scared of having the conversations.
Yeah.
And it's the other thing that I've noticed with that, Carl, it tends to be the people in the front row that raise their hands. The ones that have called their past customer database, it's normally the top producers. It's normally people that are in the Freedom Club, got a little bit of coaching, they're almost forced into doing it until they get the results. And then they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to keep doing this. It tends to be the top producers.
Come to find out, an extra 20, 30 grand a month is actually helpful. Come to find out. Yeah.
Pretty motivating. Yeah.
Pretty motivating. Yeah.
So I guess to speak to that is what we did with artificial intelligence. So the CRM itself sends all the campaigns, the proven campaigns. Database is one example. Qualified list of realtors is another one. Past referral partners is another campaign that we have preloaded and pre-built inside there. Your pre-approvals is another one. But what happens when you start sending all these messages and you use Octopus marketing, you've got the power dialer, you've got emails, you've got text messages, you've got all that stuff, people start responding back. And what we found is that that tends to be one of the things that holds people back from sending the messages is like, I'm already so busy in my day, I don't have time to handle all of these conversations that are going to come in if I actually did the marketing to bring in the loans. And so what we built were individual AI conversation assistants for each type of conversation that comes into the CRM. So when you send a message and a campaign out to your entire past customer database and people start responding back and sending in emails and text messages, the AI assistant gets those messages and has an AI prompt that we have written based on the fundamentals of the mortgage marketing animals. That conversation goes into artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence writes the response to the message to the person based on the campaign they came from. So it's custom for past customers, custom for realtors, custom for pre-approvals. The AI knows who it's talking to, and it knows your business so that it can speak like you. And the AI actually writes the response to whatever the client has said back inside the CRM. And then we have a safety net on it, basically, where it'll send you a message and say, hey, your campaign's hard at work. This is the response that the client sent. Here's what I'm going to say back. Do you approve it? And you either click approve in the text message or the email and it sends it back. Or if you don't like it, you go back into the AI and you teach it. And you say, hey, if somebody says this in the future, your response should say this. And the AI learns from every interaction that it has with a client and eventually gets to the point where you can take off that safety net and have the AI having real-time conversations with all of the different conversation pathways that you've got in your mortgage business.
Very interesting. So if I send, let's do past database.
Yep.
If I, or let's pick another one. Let's pick, no, we're talking about past database. So my past database, I tell the CRM what I'm looking for here is I'm looking to see if they're ready to do their annual mortgage review.
Yep.
Right. Very effective campaign.
Yep.
Or B, leave me a 5-star review.
Yep.
Right. This I'm telling the AI says, hey, what's the end result you're looking for? I'm looking to do a mortgage review with them. I'm looking for 5-star reviews
on Google.
On Google. Good point. And I'm looking for referrals of their friends, family, and coworkers.
Yep.
That's the end result that you're here to do. And so as it's having these conversations, it listens to what they're reaching out, what their response is to you. And then it decides using an IQ of 160, by the way.
That's right.
And growing, of which of these 3 pathways is the most likely end result that's going to give the most positive response here. And then which is either A, scheduling for a mortgage review with you, B, giving you a 5-star review, or C, them referring you to their nephew who just got married and they're looking to buy a house.
That's right.
And it has these conversations. And as it's having the conversations via email or via text, whichever, because if they replied back on text, what's going to text them back?
Yep.
If they send it to you in email, what's going to reply back in email? And so I love the word that you used a few minutes ago, and it was a conversational assistant, a conversation assistant, that you now have an assistant that's having that conversation. So that conversation, I know it sounds crazy, but we're all guilty of this, right? And I think one thing that's important is to understand, look, we all have our things that hold us back, and it's okay, right? I think early in the game, Chris, I'd beat myself up. I'm stupid, I'm lazy, I'm a scaredy cat, or whatever, insert in phrase that would beat me up. And what I've learned is it's okay to have these things, right? We're humans. find a way to go around that thing. Find a way to go around that speed bump. And anytime we can delegate to somebody else, in this case, a machine that doesn't get tired, doesn't get sick, doesn't ask for a raise, doesn't go on strike, doesn't, take a 2-week vacation every year, which is all great things for humans.
Yep.
It's just a robot doesn't need to do it. How real are these conversations?
They're incredible, shockingly real. And the baseline that it comes out at is shockingly good, because the AI is moving so quickly and learning so fast, because we're feeding it into an engine that's getting better every single day. So just the baseline of what we train it with, the mortgage marketing animal scripts and all of that, puts out a phenomenal response. But then when loan officers start using the system and actually giving it feedback of, hey, that's not quite the way that I ask about the appointment for the annual mortgage review, say it like this. And then it starts to have that personalization where every single CRM account becomes like the user that is using it and training it. So eventually you do kind of end up with this almost like personal assistant that talks like you, that understands you, that has a link to your calendar. I mean, we've got the AI at this point where it's smart enough to see your calendar, because calendar integration, one of the features we built into the CRM, and the AI can actually see, hey, is there an available appointment time tomorrow at 2:00? And so if it's having a conversation with somebody and it says, hey, it sounds, like you'd like to book your annual mortgage review, does tomorrow at 2:00 work for you? And they respond back, yes, that's it. The AI goes to the calendar, sets a clock, 2:00, takes the contact record from inside the CRM, inserts it into the calendar, and then starts sending reminders to you and to the client so that you both show up at that time for that annual mortgage review. Like, Carl, this stuff is moving so quickly. The gap between the people that are implementing now and where we're going to be with automations in just a year's time, I think it's going to be a pretty big gap.
Yeah. So what's the holdback? What's the, I don't know. Do you think the reason why everybody's not using this already is because they just don't know it's around? Is that because anytime I look at something, I always think, gosh, to me this seems like a no-brainer.
Mm.
But I get it. I might be biased, right? I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm not, right? But I look at it and I go, well, what would hold somebody back? You know what I don't think I am biased as I'm sitting here thinking about it. But let me tell you why. I was about a year in the business. So this is like 25 years ago. I was about a year in the business when I made an amazing discovery that I call my awakening. And my awakening in my mortgage business was when I realized I'm not in the mortgage business. I'm in the marketing to a database business. I just happen to be selling mortgages. And that was a game changer.
Yeah.
And that was true with my referral partners,
Yep.
like real estate agents, divorce attorneys, CPAs, insurance agent, title companies, all part of my database. And then what has started off as my sphere of influence, friends and family, because I didn't have any past database. And then as I closed some loans, I found out my biggest gold was frankly my marketing to my past database.
Yeah.
And that I was really in the marketing to a database business. It was just, I don't know, not cloaked, the wrong word, because that sounds shady, but it was the business I happened to be marketing was mortgages, but it could have been air conditioners, tires, cars, or helicopters for all that matter.
Yeah.
That it's market, which, if you look at Apple and Amazon, Apple's not a music company. Apple's a database company. Amazon's not a book company. It's a database company. And you, as you're listening to this, my friend, you're not a loan officer. You're a master marketer to a database. You just happen to be marketing mortgages.
Yeah.
And I think when you start taking that approach to it, everything changes. All right.
And
So
sorry, Carl, to cut off, but the value is that your realtors and your realtor partners are also in the database marketing business. And most of them are not making phone calls to the database and not following up on their leads effectively. And that's a huge value add that you can bring to the table with your real estate partners as well.
Hey, all those people that you're not marketing to, I can help you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Let's do it together.
here's the campaign, by the way, because the campaign's already built. And and I say this very humbly, I think it's fantastic. You and I built it. And I think it's great because we're using the same proven scripts that I've been using for, I don't know, 20 some years,
Yeah.
something like that, being very effective at marketing to our data. Dude, did I
And
tell you, by the way? I don't know if I shared, gosh, I wish I had. So this off the top of my head, but I'm
yep.
pretty close with it. So I just did, we just got the report from my mortgage office.
Yep.
And so the month of March, as we're recording this, it's the very beginning of April. And so the month of March, we did 429 loan applications.
Nice.
429. Yeah, that's a good number.
Yeah.
Now, I said loan applications, right? So
Yep.
we all know they don't all close. We close about 81, 82, 83, sometimes
That's high.
84%, something like that. So yeah. So if you take 400, I think 429, I think it was 427 or 429, something like that. I think it was 429. I'm almost positive because it was 121,605,000. I remember that number. And our average loan amount, and I didn't do the math on what I just gave out, but usually it runs around the high 200s, low 300s, somewhere around there. But purpose of me saying that is marketing to your database works because we get a lot of loans from that. And the other thing that this report, it was Owen. I met with Owen. He gave me a report, and he said that we're on track. That by the end of the summer, they're expecting us to be 43% more mortgages this year than last year.
Yep.
So 43% increase. And so it is a great time to start putting this stuff into play.
Mm-hmm.
That we've got a tailwind coming here with a 43% increase. And keep in mind, there's less loan officers.
That's right.
Right. So I don't know how many loan officers. It seems like half of them. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less, but it seems like half. So we're on track to be at 43% more loans with half as many loan officers. It's a really good time. How long does it take? So I go, hey, all right, I want to get the CRM. I want to ride this wave that we're getting ready to jump on. How long does it take? Like with any CRM.
Yep.
And I guess we can't speak with any, but with this one, from the time I get it till the time my first campaign, like what does that look like? And what does the setup look like?
So what we've done is we've now partnered every user with a Success Coach. And so when you come in, you actually have somebody along for the ride with you, setting up your CRM and getting your first campaign launched. And Carl, that's the thing that stops, I think, most people from being successful with a CRM is the first 30 days. Because if you never get it set up and you never send the first campaign, you're not going to be successful with it. But if you get over that curve, it's like, I call it, rolling the rock over the mountain. The hardest part of it is getting it to that first crest. But then after that, it's all downhill. And that's the hard part is up front, which obviously is not ideal, but that's what successful people do. They put in the hard work up front and enjoy the benefits later. So it's about 30 days because you've got to go through this process called A2P, which is when you get a phone number, if you want that phone number to be able to send text messages, you have to register it through a government process. Every phone number has to do it. Every CRM has to do it.
That's a new thing, right?
Yeah, within the most recently, but for like every phone number, you've got to do that now.
Whether my CRM is, no matter who my CRM is, if I'm texting, I have to get this A2P. It's a new, I think it started like last October, something like that. It's a federal guideline.
Yep.
And with it being a federal guideline, I guess if you don't follow that, I guess that'd be a felony.
Well, the system won't work without you doing it. So it is quite literally like at the carrier level, you've got to do this in order to.
So anyway, so you have to have the A2P, which is getting the government to say, yeah, I'm a real person.
I'm a real business.
I'm a real business. I'm a real person, and I'm marketing to these people that I know, and they know me.
Yeah, and it's a good thing overall for all of us.
It is.
But a pain in the butt getting set up. But we have templates that are crushing people through that process at this point. So we have basically a process to walk you through the whole thing. Then after that, it's just modifying the campaigns so that you feel comfortable sending them out to your contacts. So we have an entire year's worth of database marketing preloaded into the system. with an email, a text message, and an email that goes out every single month to your past customer database. Literally, all you've got to do is get your database prepared, put it into the system with help from your account manager, and then launch that first database marketing campaign. But in order to do that, you've got to read a grand total of 36 messages and make sure that they look and feel like you. I would say the majority of the customers don't touch anything. They just read through and go, oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
And that would be my recommendation, by the way. Like, don't sit there and cherry pick every dot, every I, every capital T. Like, I personally wrote these. Chris and I, we sat down and we personally wrote these, and it's what I'm sending out. So it's, and not that what I'm sending out makes it the end all. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, I've seen people like I've seen people lose hundreds of thousands of dollars by, well, the message isn't quite right. I'm getting
Yep.
ready to get round to it, and nothing ever happens,
So,
and don't do that.
Carl, Sam Altman, so he's the CEO, sits on the board of OpenAI, second most successful and profitable, or not profitable, but most successful startup in American history, does not use capitalization in any of his online messages. If you go follow him on social media, there's no capitalization. And I'm not saying that that's not what's in these messages. Obviously, they're grammatically correct. But the point is, like,
Just start talking.
just start talking.
Turn your conversation assistant on
That's right.
and let him, her start having conversations.
Yep.
So
That's right.
good stuff, man.
Yeah. I think that's enough for today. I've got a lot more I'd like to share.
Yeah,
but
I think it is too. And just to let you know, so this thing will send out videos for you.
Yep.
Like, if you think, so it has that built into it. It's got a power dialer. It's got a social media content creation and poster and syndicate. It's killer. We talked about the database here. We talked about the conversational assistant. It's got the Calendly link built inside, so it looks at your calendar, looks at the open time, and books appointments. And you can book out. Of course, I don't get the office till 9, and I leave at like 5, so it doesn't do anything in between there. And it's also got the real estate data in there, where it'll look up. You can look up real estate agent production in there, and of the different agents, and download these 50 and start marketing messages to them. So it's really cool stuff. So we'll break down more of this as we're ongoing. But for right now, I'd focus on the database activator and having the conversation assistant. I think that's, some of the other stuff sounds sexier and sounds, I don't know, I'm using air quotes here, more fun maybe.
Yep.
But I don't think anything will get you loans faster than marketing to your past database. That very thing that you should have been doing. And that if you did that thing, it would have a remarkable increase in your business. And 95% of us aren't doing it at all, much less at any level whatsoever. I'd turn that thing on first. So where do I go, Chris?
Loan officer CRM .ai. So that end part is tricky, the .ai part, but loan officer CRM .ai, and all the details are there. You'll see a button. Click the button. It'll ask you for your first name, email address, and phone number, and then you submit that information, and it will take you to the payment page where you can claim you're part of the software. It takes us a couple hours to build your account because we have to get it all prepared for you and get it sent out. But you're not really buying the system at that point. What you're doing is you're just securing your spot, because we've got a 30-day 100% money back guarantee. So you come in, get all the training that comes with it for free. And there's mortgage, how to grow your mortgage business, but also how to use the CRM training. You get your account manager. It's our goal to get you up, launched, running a campaign in 30 days, so you get the full experience. And then at the end of 30 days, you decide if you're going to keep it or not, because you're protected by the 30-day 100% money back guarantee. So loanofficercrm.ai, click the button, fill out your information, then fill out your credit card information, click submit, and that'll get you on the inside.
Good deal. Good stuff, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I know we have weekly classes, actually daily classes. We have daily classes for the users of it, where people get in there and they're sharing ideas back and forth. Some really good stuff, and other very interesting AI applications that are available too. But it's nice just having your own personal robot. So the bot that's in there, that's your bot, and which is
That's right.
different from mine. And so as you're training yours your way of doing things, or maybe you're in Ohio and y'all speak differently than what we do in Florida, you're training them the Ohio way. I'm teaching them the swamps of Florida way. But we each get our own little robot. So loan officer CRM.ai. Chris, I appreciate you, brother. Great stuff. Just an honor to be on this path with you. And for our listeners today, man, just whatever you do, do something. And
That's
if you
right.
don't get this one, get a CRM. Don't overanalyze which CRM you ought to get. Just get one and put it to use. It's likely the one single activity that'll move the needle for you more than any other one thing is activating your CRM, whichever one it is, because they're all everyone that's I think on the market today is just outstanding, and the people that are behind them, everybody that I know is just outstanding individuals too. Just not as good as this one, but I'm just kidding. So good stuff. All right. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the inside, and we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thanks again, everybody. Bye bye.